MMA Rants and Raves, UFC on versus Jake Ellenberger versus John Howard. Guys, I'm really ticked off after I watched this fight. Really upset about what I saw. But before I get into it, let's talk about it for a minute. First of all, it was a great fight. You have two talented fighters. You could just see it shows. They were trying to basically display their abilities. You have Howard, very good stand-up fighter, and of course you have Ellenberger, who's a great wrestler. And you see these two different talents coming together, and they were basically trying to get the upper hand, trying to find an opportunity to take it to their opponent. So you basically see Howard coming out. He lands a good left hook. Ellenberger absorbs it. Just amazing. Really good chin, Ellenberger. And then he just responds with a Roman Greco clinch, which he actually controlled most of that first round. And then they were eventually separated. And basically, he got a takedown later in the round. He was really good ground and pound. The story was in that first round that Ellenberger was really dominant with the wrestling. And he took that first round based on his wrestling ability. He was able to neutralize his opponent on the ground. Of course, the Roman Greco that he did at the beginning of the fight, really brilliant strategy by Ellenberger, because he knows Howard's a really good stand-up fighter. He's quick. And the best thing to do is to take out the legs of a stand-up fighter, because then you take away their rhythm and their movement, and that really negates a lot of what they do. So it's really good to start a fight out like that, because you have two guys that are full of cardio, and the best thing to do is to weaken them. So this way, not only you slow the guy down, but you can get those takedowns a lot easier because you weaken their legs. So it's a good strategy by Ellenberger in the first round. Took that first round. Second round, wow, Howard comes out like a mad dog. I mean, he attacks. He throws a brutal head kick, followed up by a big right hand. Either one of those blows may have knocked out many people. Ellenberger just absorbed it. This absolutely shocked me. I'm like, this guy has an amazing chin. I mean, you see most guys that get hit like that, they get wobbled. You see the legs kind of wobbling, but they recollect themselves, and then they get their senses back, and they're able to continue to fight. But this guy, he wasn't even fazed by it. He just kept on fighting, and not only kept on fighting, he wasn't on the defensive. He right away shoots for a takedown and gets it. Incredible. I mean, this guy is just an attacker. I mean, that's a mark of a great fighter, when you see a fighter who gets attacked and assaulted, and then not only they're on the defensive, but they actually come back and be on the offensive. So wow, it's really impressive by Ellenberger. So it's basically much of the same. You see Ellenberger getting those takedowns, controlling his opponent on the ground, good ground and pound, throwing a lot of elbows and punches. And it was really impressive the way he was able to get the takedowns and control his opponent. Third round, wow, he saw Howard. I mean, his face, it looked like he was in a lot of trouble. His eye was just completely swollen up. I mean, it looked like he had something the size of a handball on his eye. It was really nasty to look. Open his eye at all. But he has a warrior spirit. He just kept on fighting, and he gave it all. Kept on going, and of course he had to watch out to not get hit in that eye. And of course you have no vision. You only have vision in one eye, so it really hurts a fighter, especially in the stand-up, because then you have a blind spot and you can't see punches coming at you. At about 3:34, he gets a takedown. And then again, you have the ref, threatening to stand it up. They were just seconds down there. He was throwing more elbows, and he was really, looking good on the ground. And then the ref just stands it up. I just couldn't understand it. And then after it was stood up, right away the doctor looked at his eye, and they saw that this guy was in serious trouble. He couldn't even see, and the fight was stopped. And Ellenberger won the fight. Now, I got a serious rant. I'm really ticked off over here, guys. If you look at all these 3 rounds, you saw Ellenberger doing a lot of work on the ground, throwing elbows, doing a lot of ground and pound. At one point, he got up, threw a full-blown punch, back down, escaping Howard's guard. And this ref, constantly, let's work. I'm going to stand this up. The last thing a fighter needs is have a pesky, harassing referee on top of them, telling them what to do. What the heck is wrong with this guy? Why can't the fighters do what they have to do? This is not a boxing match. It's an MMA match. That's what it is. Part of the fighting is on the ground. Let the man do what he's got to do. It's not like he wasn't doing anything down there. Sometimes you see fighters, they're just down there and they're just grappling and there's nothing getting done. But it wasn't just He was laying on the guy. The guy was actually throwing elbows. He was throwing punches. I mean, just look at the guy's eye. His eye was all swollen up. How do you think that happened? I mean, just watch it. I just can't understand what this guy kept on doing, threatening to stand him up, telling him to work, distraction. I mean, it's just wrong. I mean, this is part of a mixed martial arts. Let the guy fight. I don't know why he kept on doing that. It was very aggravating. I mean, I don't know who supervises these referees. I mean, this has to stop. You force a guy to get up, or even standing up, you tell him to engage if they're not doing anything. You know, if there's showboating going on or on the ground, you see just guy laying there and his guard is, the guy getting hit is very good. But this guy was doing a lot of work. Just watch the fight. I just can't understand. I don't know why the announcers didn't say anything about it. I mean, he was constantly threatening this guy, harassing him to stand him up. I mean, get off the guy's back. Let the guy fight. It was just really annoying. But anyway, besides that, I like what Ellenberger brought to the table. I think this guy's a very humble guy, and that also ticks me off. He's not being noticed. So, if any UFC guys are watching this out there, notice Ellenberger. I mean, come on, the guy's 23-5 at the tender age of only 25 years old. I mean, the guy is just an absolute warrior. He's been very dominant. You can actually look upon his last 7 fights as a 7-game winning streak. You know, the Condit fight that he lost, I thought he won that fight. I mean, it was very close, but I thought he won, in my opinion. So if you look at all those fights, you know, besides that, the only fight that he lost that didn't go to a decision was back in something like 2007, where he got caught in an armbar. The guy's never been close to getting knocked out. You could just see it in the Howard fight. The guy can take a lot of punishment. I mean, he's a warrior. He's got that wrestling base. His takedowns are really good. He shoots for them, which is what GSP does a lot. You know, he has a lot of power, this guy. He's strong. He's able to get guys down with that ability to shoot for takedowns. So it's not just leg locks and grappling. Shoots for them and surprises his opponents, especially when he gets hit. He just comes and surprises you. Before you know it, you're on your back. So I think this guy's in title contention. I mean, he should get noticed. He should be getting, I don't know why they were talking about rematch. You know, this guy should be moving up to the top tier of the welterweight division. People think of the welterweight division, they're thinking about GSP, Koscheck, Alves, and Fish. What about Jake Ellenberger? This guy should get a title shot already. It's just ridiculous. He's a really, really good fighter. I mean, just look at his record. He's been everywhere. He's been in the IFL. He's been in M1, came from there, and now he's in the UFC doing all kinds of damage. Anyway, I'd like to know what you think about Jake Ellenberger and his future. Also, what you thought about the ref with all these stand-ups, these 4 stand-ups, which I did not think were warranted at all. Please leave your comments below the video to let me know. Rate this video and subscribe, and thank you for tuning in.